and welcome to another episode of HomeTech.fm. Jason Griffin here, joined by Seth as usual. Seth, how are you?
Good man. I think this is going to be a short episode. There's not much to talk about this week.
Not quite, my friend. I did a lot of digging, and I want you to know that it was no easy feat sorting through the noise of CES. You know, it's such a giant show, and it's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're excited to kind of give our take on CES. There's just a lot of noise associated with that show, and a lot of cool technology, but really kind of trying to distill it down and find the stories that are really relevant to me and I think to our audience as home tech fans and integrators. It can be a tall order, but I think we've got a lot of interesting stories from CES that we are excited to share.
Yeah, and you did some pretty deep digging, because I was kind of half following the news this week and kind of setting articles aside here and there, but I was kind of looking at it and going, nothing's really going on. I'm hearing buzzwords and things that we'd heard about, the last couple of weeks in the lead up to CES. But holy cow, you found some hidden gems in here that I think we're going to get into and start talking about. Yeah,
I think so. And I was mainly looking for just kind of big themes, kind of overarching themes, and we've got a number of those that we want to cover, and like I alluded to, a lot of ground to cover here, so I think we should just jump right in. One of the first sort of themes that I saw at the show, a number of interesting products related to, was cameras. A lot of these cameras popping up, so a lot more competition for companies like Dropcam, for instance. We're seeing a lot more players enter this market, and also a feature that I saw on a number of these stories was facial recognition, which is something that is relatively new to the market. We had the guys from Chewy on the show last year, and I know they've been working with this stuff for a while, but this is sort of the first I'm hearing about a lot of other people kind of experimenting with this technology, so it was interesting to see that.
Yeah, and the price is coming down market. I've been using kind of a system called Visualant for cameras. They have like analytics built into their cameras, and I actually pretty good friends with the owner, and we've worked together in the past. And I was noticing on their website that they were promoting just today some kind of facial recognition. So yeah, I guess it's going around. I mean, it's definitely getting out there and getting popular. But I think those cameras that he has are on the pro side. It's what you put into like a casino or a bank. Mm-hmm. And of course, the stuff that comes out at CES is for consumers.
Sure.
And the prices definitely reflect that. I think there were a couple of them that were like, I don't know, $150 or something like that. The SimplyCam one.
Yeah, they were. I saw one that was particularly interesting to me is the Net Atmo Welcome. And this camera has facial recognition, full HD, 130-degree field of view. One thing that I did note about it that I guess, depending on your stance, could be considered a drawback is that it records locally to an SD card. It doesn't look to me like they're going to be doing any sort of cloud offering. But what I thought was interesting about this particular one is that it does have facial recognition, and it's kind of touting already that it has an IFT channel. So if this, then that. So you can actually program if this, then that actions based on facial recognition. So assuming the technology's up to snuff and actually works like it says it does, you could have a camera kind of pointed at your front door, which would obviously solve a security need. But you could also use it as a trigger for different actions based on if you were coming home, or for instance, your wife or your children are coming home. You could trigger different things to happen based on who's walking in the door, which I think is really cool and has a lot of potential.
Yeah, and this thing looks like the Canary that we talked to Canary last year sometime too. This looks very similar to that, but again, just has the camera in it. I don't see anything else about sensors or anything else that are built into it. But I mean, you kind of said it's kind of a bad thing that it only records to SD cards, but I'm kind of getting like a little bit of pushback here and there from people who don't want to have their information going out to the cloud. They want to kind of control it all and have it within their own four walls, right, so to speak. So that may be a pretty good selling point for this kind of product.
Yeah, no, and that's why I hedged a little bit, because I think it's only a bad thing depending on like your mindset. The fact that it doesn't record to the cloud could actually be a good thing and a selling point to the right customer. So yeah, I think you're exactly right there. Like you said, SimplyCam is adding facial recognition. This one, it looks like it's gonna. I think it was $4.99 a month is what they're charging, basically for the. Looks like the closely recording service is what they call it. So they've got a cloud recording service on SimplyCam, and as part of that closely recording service that you pay $4.99 a month for, you get the facial recognition. Current subscribers, you access that feature like on your app, and the camera itself is $149.99. So like you alluded to, I mean, to get a camera with facial recognition for $149 is pretty insane. This particular one, the feature is being rolled out as a beta, and so it doesn't seem to me like it's quite as far along as the Net Atmo Welcome, but still really cool to see a couple of companies doing this, at such a low price point.
And one of the uglier versions, but I mean, it's kind of a neat idea, was that Chamberlain camera that came out, and it kind of plugs into a light socket by your front door. Did you see that thing?
Yeah, I did. It's an interesting approach. It solves a problem in terms of power, right? Like you don't have to ever worry about replacing a battery. But I don't know if, replacing a battery every 6 months or a year or 2 years or whatever it is really that big of a deal to most people. Versus, with this thing, I think pretty much everybody has some sort of light fixture by their front door, but it may not be in the greatest position for a camera. And to me, that strikes me as a little bit limiting. I'm not really sure about this approach.
Yeah, and this thing costs it says $235 to $250, and it's not exactly the most secure thing, right? This would just be connected up to a light, and then it's right there, within reach, because you can always change a light bulb. I don't know. I don't quite get it, but maybe it works. Maybe for somebody it works.
Right. Yeah. For the
my
right,
light out there,
customer.
Yeah. Exactly. My light turns on and off, so I don't really know how that's going to help the situation.
That's true. That's funny that I didn't even actually think about that. I mean, what happens if your light is off? I guess the camera's not getting power, obviously, at that point. So I don't know. I'm not so sure about that one. One of the, I think, most intriguing ones that I saw, just for its uniqueness, is a company I've never heard of before, Sengled. And I think it was a Chinese company, I believe.
Oh, yeah, Sengled.
Yeah. Right? But they're doing all kinds of crazy things, again, with light bulbs. Now, what makes these interesting to me, though, is that they're not only integrating cameras into light bulbs, but they also have light bulbs that act as Wi-Fi repeaters. The camera light bulb that they have does facial recognition as well. And they've also got one that has a built-in speaker. So they're doing a lot of different things all around this idea of, making a light bulb into more than just a light bulb, which I think is really interesting.
Right. I think, CES is just one of those places that these manufacturers bring all their stuff in and just show it off and hope that somebody puts in an order for 10,000 units or something. And I think that's probably what Singled's doing here. But that the Bluetooth speaker bulbs, I've seen a number of those, and that's kind of been, even going back a couple of years before Bluetooth was even big or could do something like that. I think there were a couple of companies that were trying to sell a fixture or maybe a lamp or a bulb itself that had a speaker built into it. I always thought it was kind of a strange product, but I guess if you have no ability to retrofit product into your house, you can't get speakers from point A to point B, and Sonos is maybe a little bit more too expensive than you want to spend on it. This may be a pretty good idea. I don't think a driver is going to sound all that great in a light bulb. The size of one is not going to sound all that great, but if you just want music in the area, maybe it's something that could work for you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that the integrated speaker into the light bulb is a super compelling offering to me. I think actually the one that strikes me as the most interesting is the idea of using a light bulb as a Wi-Fi repeater. I've often run into this as an integrator where we have, parts of the house where the Wi-Fi just isn't good enough. And maybe you have some network cabling in the room, but it might be at a wall jack that's just completely exposed and visible, and you have really nowhere to kind of hide your wireless access point. You can't stuff it into a cabinet or up in a closet very easily if you don't have the wire there. So the idea of actually having light bulbs that you could just screw in strategically to a few different fixtures in your house and boost the Wi-Fi, I think is actually really interesting. And that one to me seems like it could have legs.
Maybe. You have to keep your lights on to keep the Wi-Fi running, though.
Yeah, again, that is the drawback, I guess. I don't know. It just strikes me as interesting. Like there could be possibilities there. I don't know if there's a way that they could engineer it so that somehow the Wi-Fi still works if the light is off. I mean, it seems to me like they would have to, right? Like that just seems too obvious, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of the thing I think a lot of these connected companies run into when they build these smart lamps and smart light bulb things. Like the fixture could always turn off. The power from the main switch could always just be turned off, and then your device has no power. So it's always kind of been in my head, like, step one would be to kind of like bypass that switch or something. I don't know. Like I really don't know how this. These things kind of seem like toys to me. They don't seem like real products. Even like,
well, I guess at that point, what you would have to do is have constant power fed to it, and then the actual switching for the light itself would have to be somehow handled inside of the bulb. So you would have to control it through an app, which would be a little bit limiting because your physical wall switch on the wall, you got to never touch that. But there'd be ways that they could get around that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, we're kind of getting off of our camera topic here, but I saw a couple of companies come out this year that had those, like a cover or a device that you slipped over the top of a toggle switch, and it would make that switch become a lighting control switch. Did you see any of those this year?
Yeah, I did. I didn't like dive into any of the articles about them, but I did see that. There was one article I read, and I can't remember the name of the company, but it looks kind of cool. Especially for people who don't want to mess with swapping out electrical. A lot of people aren't comfortable doing that, so that could be a compelling offering for them.
Yeah, it kind of solves that install issue that I think a lot of people are going to have a problem with when it comes to installing smart devices and lighting control and all that good stuff. My wife doesn't even want to touch a light bulb, so putting in a light bulb Wi-Fi repeater or cameras isn't going to be an option for her. But it's like this you could just put over the top and remove 2 screws and put it over the top of your light switch, and you have a lighting control system. That's not such a bad idea.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, like you said, we're getting a little bit off of cameras, but that really covers like what I saw with cameras. I just thought it was interesting to see a lot of stories about it's definitely a compelling offering to a lot of people because one of the core ideas behind people getting into home technology initially is always that idea of security. And so home monitoring and cameras obviously play a big part of that. And I thought that the facial recognition aspect was definitely interesting, as it could have some implications on sort of adding some intelligence to your home based on having some facial recognition integrated into your cameras. So I thought that was interesting. Obviously, one of the other broad topics that I was looking at was just the smart home at large. A lot of obviously established players there showing new things. Wemo was there showing a bunch of new sensors. There was a couple new platforms, new hubs, obviously coming out, and just also there's the bell, and obviously looking at HomeKit and watching what's developing there. So, a lot to watch there in terms of the smart home at large.
Yeah, definitely. I think Wemo coming out with, just a whole host of sensors to add into the system was pretty big. They just came out with 5 or 6 sensors.
Yeah, it looks like an alarm sensor, door and window sensor, keychain sensor. There's a motion sensor. Yeah, I don't have the list right in front of me, but yeah, they've been busy. I was kind of commenting that Wemo seems like they've been a little bit quiet lately. The guys at Belkin, we haven't heard a lot from them in kind of mid to late 2014, but it looks like they've definitely been busy.
Yeah, and I know they were showing off that water sensor that could tell if there was a leak. I've heard a couple of people talking about that. We talked about it a long time ago when you actually toured the Wemo offices.
The Echo system.
Yeah, they were showing that off this year too, which is kind of cool.
That's a pretty neat system. You basically can tie it in like under your sink, and it can monitor water usage in your entire house. But it's actually intelligent enough to be able to recognize like the different signatures of different things in your house. So it can tell the difference between like you running the bathtub versus you flushing a toilet. And, it can spit out all kinds of different information based on that. So you can really get down to a very granular view of energy use and water use in your home.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
So they've got one for water and then one like a smart meter type of offering.
Very cool. It looks like there was some news with Smart Things. I followed the keynote announcements quite a bit because they were saying that how they were going to be an open company and basically they believe in communicating with everybody, which I love to hear because that makes integration easy when companies actually want to publish an API and get their product, have their product the ability to be controlled. And it was really cool to see that and hear that. But I hope they do something. It's not just like a walled garden type control offering. I hope you have the ability to get in there and do a little bit more. I'm not a Smart Things developer, so I'm not sure how that's going to work. But I'm looking forward to see what people come up with in the future because it seems like a pretty decent offering. We've talked about Smart Things quite a bit in the past.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of APIs, obviously watching for HomeKit news at CES was big for me this year. Saw a little bit. It's still so new, and so it was kind of, I expected not to see a whole lot. And definitely, it was about what I expected. We saw, some smart outlets. I think I saw like a garage door opener. One of the cameras we talked about, the Net Atmo Welcome, was touting HomeKit. But really, as it stands right now, none of these products are officially made for iPhone or MFI certified. So this is all still very new. And I was reading one article that talked about, a demo. They didn't name names, but somebody giving a demo and, having just hitting a button on their app and nothing happening. The light doesn't turn on, doesn't do what it's supposed to. And the guy doing the demo, made a comment about, hey, this is half baked. Like it's not. Apple still has a lot of work to do on HomeKit. It's not ready yet for for prime time, and so stuff like that is to be expected.
Yeah, I know from experience that show floor demos are very, very hard to do, and very, very hard to control, especially when you're in a massive, massive, massive area with tons of Wi-Fi interference and everything's supposed to work on the same frequency. It's very, very tough. Oh, yeah. So I feel that guy's pain, whoever they were, for sure. One quick thing on HomeKit, though. We had a question from, I think it was Mark Childs on Twitter. He's at Sugarhorse. He was asking about basically about the Apple TV becoming kind of like a half a hub. Mm-hmm. He kind of wanted us to kind of touch on HomeKit, and I want to refer him back to the HomeKit episode we did. The link will be in the show notes, which will be at HomeTech.fm/shows/46 on this one. But go have a listen to that, and you'll understand a little bit more about what HomeKit is. HomeKit is taking the hub and kind of decentralizing it, putting that hub information on your phone. And your phone actually keeps up with what the device states are and that kind of thing. Your phone is actually what's running the software. Mm-hmm. So the Apple TV, he was asking if it was going to be a hub or like half a hub. Yeah, half a hub is probably a way to think about it. But in your home, you always want something that's always online and always on to communicate out to these devices when you are not at your house. If you're at your house, you can get on the Wi-Fi network and communicate with any one of these devices. But if you're outside of the house, you have to have some way to get through the firewall and get through your router and get into the house network and communicate to all those devices. And that's what speculation is the Apple TV is going to be able to do with a couple of software updates. So I just wanted to clear that up. I hope that did, Mark. I hope that clears up some things for you, and hope that makes sense.
Yeah,
so.
no, I think it definitely does. People seem to be lamenting the fact that an Apple TV is sort of required for HomeKit, but it's well, first of all, it's not. It's only required for HomeKit if you want to use it remotely. So if you want to be able to turn your lights on or off, control in theory the HVAC, whatever it is, while you're away from home, the Apple TV is required to do that. So in a sense, kind of acting like more of a gateway than a hub, really, at that point. Like you said, it's a means to get through the firewall. It's a device that's always on. So it kind of is acting almost like a gateway / hub in a way. And so, yeah, it can be a little bit confusing, especially for guys like me who aren't developers. But it was, it's interesting to hear you talk about that. And I think as HomeKit kind of develops more, I think it would be interesting to maybe do another episode on it and get you to talk a little more about it, because you have, kind of a background in development. Maybe we can get somebody out there who really knows this stuff inside out. I think it's an interesting topic, and like we've said plenty of times before, certainly one to watch.
Definitely. So, hey, speaking of hubs and whatnot, did you see the Insteon HomeKit hub?
I saw it. I didn't have a chance to really dive in and read about that particular one. But I did see that Insteon, it came across my feed that they were doing something with HomeKit, which I, thought was interesting. Yeah,
it's available for pre-order for $149. And it looks pretty interesting, but I was kind of surfing on Reddit last night. They have a little home automation forum that I kind of go to every now and then, especially when news stories are going on. Mm-hmm. And because there's a lot of like PR firms and whatnot that post to Reddit because of the traffic. But some of the people on there were complaining that, that they have to upgrade a hub to get this HomeKit technology built into it. They're going to have to pay for a new hub, and then why do that when I can go this way? And just kind of complaining along those lines. But, HomeKit's kind of this new thing, and Apple is making these manufacturers come out with some new stuff to put in there to make it secure for them. And before they'll certify it, these manufacturers have to go through a process, which probably is not cheap. So I'm sure that these new technologies that are going to come out, if they come out for older systems, they're going to cost money.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting, obviously, for guys. We've had Richard Gunther on the show. I'd be curious to get his take on this one. He does the Home On podcast, which I think is a great show. And I know he's a big Insteon guy, so I'd be curious to get his take on this one. I don't have a background at all with Insteon. Don't really look at it much because it's not really a product for professional integrators, which obviously is what I do. So it's not a product that I'm very familiar with, but seems like natural that they would be a company that would be interesting in developing for HomeKit. Yeah.
Did you see the Sage home automation hub as well?
That was another one that I actually that I actually didn't have a lot of time. Boy, that bell's getting a lot of use tonight, huh?
It's worn out. It's getting worn out.
Yeah, maybe you can talk to that one, because that was another one that I didn't have a lot of time to dive in and take a look at.
Well, we talked about it a little bit on a couple shows back, the end of last year. I'm not exactly sure when it was, but it was a little PR announcement, and that was about it. But they actually showed some of it off at the show, and there's a couple articles out there about it. But it's one of those ISP. I want to call them ISPs because it's EchoStar, which does Dish Network. So they're like the content provider. They're doing a this Sage system that you can add on to your Dish Network subscription. And the way they were wording it and the way I was reading it is that they said that there was no extra monthly fee for at least the Sage hub and the automation piece. So they're kind of building it into your whatever you're paying. Which is kind of interesting, I guess, if they got money to throw at that. Right. At the end of the day, that's pretty cool. I think it's fairly interesting for people who have or want kind of a basic home automation thing. I think this thing had like Z-Wave in it, maybe Bluetooth. For a low-cost home automation system, if you're on Dish Network, might be a way to go. It didn't look that bad in the reviews, and people that were talking about it were kind of saying good things. So I hope if anybody out there does get a hold of one of these Sage systems and does set it up and take a look at it and let us know how it works, because it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to get somebody's take on that who's actually had hands-on experience with it. Yeah, one of the other stories I saw in kind of that smart home space was Nortech, formerly Linear. We had Dwayne Paulson on recently, and it looks like Nortech is kind of placing their chips down on the Go Control brand, and they're really going to kind of make a push there. It sounds like into more like DIY smart home space, as opposed to just being kind of a straight up like security company. And so there was, a lot of talk about what they could potentially do with Go Control. And we could have Go Control lights, HVAC, security, on is what they were saying. But really, right now, it kind of looks like they're basically coming out with some thermostats. So there wasn't a whole lot of meat on the story, but I did think that it was interesting that, they're going to be making that push more into kind of the DIY smart home space. And I don't think it's a surprise. I think we both kind of saw that coming, especially with the rebranding recently. So it'll be interesting to watch and see if they can pull that off.
Yep. And I don't think the real news there for me was in the words of that story. It was actually in the picture. So while I'm talking and wasting time, you should bring up that picture and take a look at it.
Let's have a look here.
Yeah, so do you notice anything on that picture that is related to the custom integration industry?
Dun, 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 dun. You'll have to cue up the Jeopardy music here. I don't. It's such a small picture. Oh, wait, are you looking at the thermostat one?
Yes.
Okay, I was looking at the wrong one. Elan?
Bingo.
Yeah, specifically, I didn't notice that before.
Yeah. So specifically, the Elan G platform is on there, which means, to me at least, that these guys with the Go Control and 2 gig and the alarm panels are going to be integrating with home automation here in the future. So that sounds really exciting. I am totally excited to see that. And Nortech and the brand that encompasses Linear and everything, that brand also has the core brands like Speakercraft, Elan, and all those guys built into it too. So they're obviously gonna launch with their partners first, and then come out. On the other side, there's probably plenty of 2 gig dealers out there that also are Control 4 or Crestron or whatever else. They'd be silly to miss the boat, so to speak, and only
definitely
push it for Elan. But that was big news. That when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. So very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that was kind of like what I saw going on in the smart home. There was one other category of stories that I was watching, obviously very pertinent to me in my life right now, and that was this category of kind of baby stuff is what I'm calling it, for lack of a better term. A lot of devices out there on the floor this year that are kind of geared towards new parents, and I'm a new parent here. We've got a 8-week-old daughter here at home as I'm sitting and recording this, and so I thought it was interesting to kind of take a look at these. One of them that I saw is a company called Sproutling, and they have this what they're calling the world's smartest baby monitor, and it looks intriguing. It's kind of a 3-part deal. So it's got a smart charger, which actually acts as more than just a charger. It also senses things in your baby's room, the nursery, things like temperature, humidity, that sort of thing. The second part is this is really where it gets interesting. Is it's an ankle bracelet. It goes around the baby's ankle. And at that point, it can monitor all kinds of things about your baby, like when they're sleeping, when they're active. I believe it did heart rate, skin temperature. So you can kind of get sort of data back, right? It sounds sort of cold to talk about that, but I think there are useful things that you could kind of glean from that as a new parent we're always kind of monitoring and trying to remember, okay, is she sleeping well? How much is she sleeping? Kind of figuring out her patterns and her rhythms, right? That's a really big part of being a new parent. And so I think that's interesting and definitely something that I was curious to take a look at.
Yeah, it does sound kind of interesting. I mean, it's definitely one of those things. If I was a data guy, and I really wanted to have all that information, I would totally be all over this. It's like Fitbit for a sleeping baby.
Yeah, exactly. There was another one. I won't spend a ton of time on these. There was like a smart pacifier that ties into an app that basically. It's basically the idea is that babies don't like having their temperature taken. So this pacifier is a way to, you give your baby the pacifier and then it acts like a thermometer. So you can tell if your baby has a fever. There was another like nap time baby monitor. This one was kind of interesting. It basically, mom and dad both get like a wristband, and then this monitor keeps an eye on your baby, and when he or she starts stirring, particularly at night is what it's designed for, your wristband will vibrate. But the interesting thing is that it alternates. And so the idea, at least, is that you can kind of prevent arguments between parents about whose turn it is to get up and change the diaper or do the feeding or whatever it is. And so it'll actually alternate back and forth. And then it's got this functionality where it can tell if, you both go to sleep and you're not wearing it. It'll actually ring your phone. I think that's a little bit overkill. Like, it's one of those things. I don't think that I would buy this. As a new parent, I can tell you that you learn pretty quickly your baby's rhythms, and particularly for us, we have her sleeping in our room. So it's, when she fusses, we wake up. We don't really need anything fancy to help us with that, but it could be useful for the right person. And then the other one I saw was kind of struck me as my timing just being bad, because we bought this little, it's called a Mamaroo, and it's basically like a high-tech swing, electronic swing that you put the baby in. And it's great. I love it. It definitely is effective, and Riley seems to love it. And this new one that they showed is only different from the one that we have in that it's actually got Bluetooth. So you get the convenience of, on ours, if there's like 5 or 6 different motions, and there's speed settings, and it's also got a built-in speaker that we never use, but you can control the volume on. You can control all of that on ours just on the actual physical buttons on the device itself. This one you get an app with.
Wait, you've got one of these things?
Yes. Well,
this looks so cool. Like, it's like the Wall-E chairs. Like, I want one of these. Like, this is so
I know.
cool.
I was thinking, like, I need to invent one of these that's big enough for adults. Like,
that's what they should be showing at CES.
Yeah, right. So pretty cool. Like, it would be a little bit convenient sometimes to maybe be able to turn it on or off. But I've found with ours really that you turn it on and you walk away. So I don't know if I really need the ability to pull out my smartphone and say, oh, let's try the rockabye motion instead of the tree swing. Like, I don't know that that's really a huge selling point, but it might be kind of nice.
Yeah, that actually looks kind of cool. I don't know about the other couple of things, especially the $40 pacifier.
Right.
I can imagine that just like getting thrown and the dog eats it and runs off with it or something, and you can't find it anymore. I don't know, like $40 gone.
Yeah. I mean, to be perfectly honest, all of these are kind of like, I don't know if I really would actually shell out my money to buy them, but just certainly thought it was worth reading and mentioning in case there's any other new parents out there.
Yeah, there's some of the Mamaroo thing looks kind of cool, man. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, so, we're definitely big fans of that one.
So it looks like kind of back on the AV kind of things. It looks like there's a lot of things going on in the streaming world. Intel came out with a thing called Compute Stick.
Yeah, they got a little. It's about the size of like a thumb drive, kind of same sort of idea as a Chromecast, size-wise at least. But it's basically like a little computer that plugs into your HDMI port, and it has like, I think 32 gigabytes of internal storage, 2 gigabytes of RAM, and built-in Wi-Fi, and obviously a processor. So it basically is, the idea is, you can plug this thing into your TV's HDMI port and kind of turn your TV into a computer.
That's pretty killer. I'm seeing a lot of people who use the like Plex Media Center and that kind of thing for like what do they use them for? It's like a home media center type thing where they collect and save all their movies and then stream them out. I see them using like these small computing devices like this and really loving it. I think this is going to go right up that particular person's alley. And anybody else who needs like a really small computer to stick behind a TV, maybe digital signage or something, that would work extremely well for. Because this thing is $149 with Windows 8.1 and with Linux Ubuntu $89. So like heck, that's a really good price. And you know, I can see that that crowd could probably get pretty excited about something like this. So
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
One of the stories that I found particularly interesting, in fact, probably one of the most interesting stories that I saw come out of CES this year was the Sling TV announcement. Now, the reason why I think that this is interesting, I don't think that in its current iteration that this is like a game changer instantly, but I think what we're seeing here is the tip of the iceberg, and this is really one of the first offerings that we've ever seen where you can sort of pay for standalone streaming service that gives you live TV with quality channels. I mean, they've got ESPN is the big one that they're really touting, and as a sports fan, obviously, I was intrigued to see that. I couldn't really find a comprehensive list wherever I looked, but you know, Disney, TBS, TNT, CNN are some of the bigger ones that they announced, and you basically pay $20 a month. And it works on various devices like tablets. You know, some of the TVs coming out have it built in, and you're basically getting streaming TV without having to, you know, spend $100 or $150 a month on a cable bill. You do have the ability to stream live TV, and I think this is really the beginning of more of a trend that we're just going to continue to see in 2015 with over the top and streaming content.
Yeah, I think this is killer. I mean, $20 a month. There's like 20 channels. So yeah, I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg. I agree completely. Along with HBO Go, that's got to be kind of a standalone thing next year. It's going to be harder and harder to kind of justify. You know, get an antenna and you have all of the, you know, channels, right?
Yeah, you get your locals.
Yeah, locals and a couple of the network channels. So, like, get that and then pay $20 a month. I mean, man, this is really killer. So, I'm glad to see things are kind of headed that way, and you know, I hope to see more in 2015 because hopefully. You know, I just don't like Comcast. I don't like...
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have Time Warner here, and I mean, our bill just keeps going up and up, and I don't think that we are a particular household that's going to be cutting the cord anytime soon. But I do think that it's super interesting to watch. I mean, it's definitely one of the trends that I'm going to be watching in 2015. This idea of HBO Go coming as a standalone service that won't require you to have a TV subscription. I mean, that's huge to me because that's one of the main reasons why, I'll be honest, that I've like had a hard time even thinking about cutting the cord is that my wife and I are huge fans of so many different HBO miniseries. Like, we just love HBO and what they do with miniseries. You know, Game of Thrones, Boardwalk Empire, just to name a couple. I mean, we watch all of them. We watched True Blood forever, although that one kind of jumped the shark in my opinion, but that's another conversation.
That last episode.
Yeah. But anyways, HBO is one of those channels that I really enjoy and would have a, you know, not first world problems, obviously, but I would just have a hard time like letting go of that. I just, it's one of those offerings that I am compelled to pay for. So I think seeing that come as a standalone streaming offering, again, just the tip of the iceberg, and we're going to continue to see more of this in 2015.
Yeah, there's an article on Mashable that says Sling TV is $20 a month, HBO Go could be like $15, Netflix is $9, Hulu is $8. The bill comes to about $52, which is, I mean, probably about $100 less than I pay a month.
Yep. Oh, easily.
So yeah, I'm all for this kind of thing, and it looks pretty cool. So I also found we could probably start a new podcast on just HBO miniseries reviews.
Yeah,
or, you know, because we could totally. We're kind of the same.
Could.
Yeah, we're the same way. We watch all of HBO. Anything that comes on HBO, we're watching.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. One of the players that I know you were particularly enamored with at CEDIA was Tableau. And did you catch the story about them at CES this year?
I did not.
So it looks like they came out with, it says, beyond the existing 2 and 4 tuner models, CES 2015 heralds the Tableau Metro, which houses 25-mile range, high-def, over-the-air antennas within the existing enclosure. So new hardware, pre-orders start $250 and expected to ship in March. And so this is the idea behind Tableau, if people aren't familiar with it, is that it allows you to, it's got a built-in over-the-air antenna, and it allows you to use DVR functionality. So you can record shows over the air like you would on, say, like a DirecTV or cable DVR. So that's a super interesting offering. And you pair something like this alongside, an offering from like Sling TV, and you've got a really compelling package right there for a very, very affordable price.
Yeah. This is really cool. I'm not sure about caring too much about having an antenna built into the box, because I probably would want to put something outside of. I guess it's our houses that we have here. They're all made out of concrete blocks, so there's absolutely no reception inside. But I think it's cool. I really like this. Seeing this product at CEDIA, it surprised me, and I always like that idea of being able to just record like an old VCR would, with an antenna hooked up to it, and then being able to play it back either while you're at home or while you're away. I mean, it's just like a TiVo. An exciting product, and I'm hoping to see more out of them in 2015.
Yeah, definitely. I was intrigued by what they were showing at CEDIA, and I think they're a company that be interested to kind of get on the show sometime and have a chat with them. This TiVo One Pass this was one of the stories that I didn't have a lot of time to dive into, but it certainly sounds interesting. The idea is that it's TiVo box, but it allows you to search for content in one interface, but it will go out and not only search the content that you have stored on like your local DVR, but it'll also go out and search different streaming services like Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, that sort of thing. And so it's kind of overlaying kind of an umbrella interface over content from a lot of different sources, which I think is pretty intriguing.
Yeah, I want to say that they've been working on this for a while, because it kind of seems like one of the same functionality that the current TiVo I had, which was just a TiVo HD. It wasn't even... No, I guess it was the Premiere. But it just, one of the updates that came later on had like the ability to search for something, and if it was on Amazon, it would show you, you can buy it on Amazon or watch it on Amazon if you had an account. Mm-hmm. So I kind of feel like this is something that's been out there, but maybe just has a new interface over the top of it, which is cool. I don't mind. An update to anything on the TiVo interface would be pretty good at this point. So
yeah, it's one of the stories that I want to go back and review and read a little more, because it did get a lot of coverage, and it sounds like something that people were excited about. So certainly something worth looking into. So speaking of TVs, obviously one of the huge themes of CES is TV technology, and this year, it's everything 4K. We're seeing it all over the place. That's interesting to me, obviously, but I think we all kind of know that 4K is here, and people have a general idea for what it is. One of the really interesting stories that I was following this year is this idea of quantum dots. Now, you've heard of this technology?
I heard people talking about it, but I don't know much about it. I haven't really done the research on it, but I heard that it was kind of big this year at CES.
Yeah, it was. Pretty much all of the big guys were showing it. LG is calling it Color Prime Nano Spectrum. Samsung's calling it Nano Crystals. So you'll hear different names for it, but it all ties back to the same technology, which is quantum dots. And without getting like too super deep into a conversation about how TVs work, quantum dots is basically a technology that improves upon LCD technology. And the basic idea behind an LCD TV is that you've got a backlight that's shining white light out through the front of the TV, and then you've got little each pixel has different little shutters that kind of filter out red, green, and blue in different amounts to make different colors. Quantum dots actually replace that backlight with a more sophisticated technology that uses these little nanocrystals, and it provides a lot of advantages. As I understand it, the energy efficiency is really good. They say it uses about 50% of the energy of an LCD TV, while being about 50 to 100 times brighter. One of the big selling points of quantum dots is that they're saying it can basically produce color gamut on par with OLED technology, which OLED is super high quality picture but very expensive. Quantum dots supposedly can produce an image that's on par with that for like a fraction of the cost, because it kind of leverages a lot of the technology that's already very common with LCDs. And one of the other things that they've talked about is that the idea behind these little nanocrystals is that the wavelength of light that they're producing is dictated by the physical size of these little crystals. And so why that's important, I guess, is that it means that the color never fades. So your TV, an traditional LCD, that backlight over time can start to fade, and so your whites can start to get a little more dingy looking. Whereas a quantum dot TV, it'll produce the same shade of red or blue or green now as it would in theory 20 years from now. And so there's a lot of selling points about it. It's an interesting technology, but obviously it can get like super geeky, right? I mean, it gets really super techy.
It's called quantum dots.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. How geeky can you be?
Yeah, LG's calling it, the nano spectrum, right? So it's super techy, but definitely interesting, and it seems to be I would say almost a threat to OLED. Like OLED is a technology that seems to be struggling a little bit to get a foothold, and I think primarily because of the cost. And if this technology can kind of evolve to produce a picture quality that's on par with that for a fraction of the cost, I think that could spell trouble for OLED.
Yeah, and I'm reading the article here, and it says something along the lines of, this is on The Verge, saying that there are going to be like 30 to 50% more over comparable, I guess, sized LED backlit displays. So, I mean, that sounds kind of like one of those premium products, but as you and I know very well, that each week TVs come down in price, and over the next couple of years, I'm sure this technology will just become either standard if it works well and they can produce it, or, just come way down in price too. So,
yeah. Yep. So obviously watching the big players, I mean, I don't know about you, but we sell a lot of Samsung. That's really our go-to TV brand. We really like them. And so I was curious to watch Samsung this year, and it looks like they came out with some TVs that people are raving about and really like, but I'm not such a big fan of their marketing department. I think they kind of made some questionable decisions with their marketing, and I guess it got people talking though. Their kind of branding this year was the most, we're producing the most seductive TV ever, and it's like, I don't really need a TV to be seductive, right? I just need it to make a really good picture.
They have such a strange marketing department, Samsung.
They really do. They really do. And the other kind of questionable decision I thought was this. I don't know if you saw this, but a lot of people use the terms 4K and UHD interchangeably. So UHD is a big kind of buzzword or term, and Samsung is kind of branding their TVs SUHD, which I think is kind of a mouthful to say, and I'm not really sure like what value is there. And there's all kinds of speculation about what the S actually stands for, like if it stands for super or seductive, and it's all just kind of silly to me. But yeah, yeah, exactly. Just not a fan, but it does look like from everything I'm reading that the TVs have basically been given approval by everyone who's looked at them in general. They supposedly look really good, and like I said, Samsung is producing some of these TVs that have the quantum dot technology, and I certainly am going to be looking into that to see how soon that's going to be available, because would certainly be anxious to get that rolled out into some of the projects that I'm working on.
Yeah, same here. We sell a lot of Samsungs as well. It looks like this HDR feature, which is what they're calling Quantum dot? No, I don't know. One of their HDR, the high dynamic range feature on their new JS9 models. Those are going to be 65, 78, and 88 inches. That's a big TV, man.
Yeah. And did you see they had the one that that actually can like motorize, so it can be a curved TV or a flat TV? Did you see that?
Oh, that's disgusting.
I thought you would like that one.
I just, can you imagine like it getting stuck halfway? Like,
yeah, that's just one of those things. They're like, we're gonna make this because we can.
Yeah. I don't know. Can you say gimmick anymore? That's just.
Yeah. Looks like they're really pushing this Tizen operating system. I'm not even sure how you pronounce that, but that's kind of their effort at an operating system, and so they're trying to really tout that as the smart TV operating system that they're going to be running on, and kind of saying how good the interface is and how fast it is. I don't know about you. I think we've talked about this before. I'm not personally a big believer yet in the kind of built-in smart TV functions. I still think that that's best handled by, an external box like an Apple TV or a Roku. So I don't get too excited when I hear companies talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing they can do for me as an integrator is give me the ability to shut off all their smart features with one switch.
Yeah.
Because that's all I really need to do, right? And I think there was some controversy this year with LG, was it? I believe I wanted to look around. One of these guys came out with a new update with their software, and then they said, oh, no, it's only going to be on the new TVs that we're showing at CES. The old TVs, which you bought as a smart TV, aren't going to be upgraded.
Oh, really? I didn't catch that.
Yeah, and so there were a lot of people that were kind of upset with that. So they, that's why, like you said, I believe way more in an external device that you pay $100 for.
Yeah.
Or like that Intel thing.
Or I was just going to say that. Yeah, like the Intel thing, or even a Chromecast, really, for whatever those go for. What is it? $40-$50 or whatever it is, I think is probably a better option.
Yeah, definitely. So it looks like Sony Bravia TVs are getting Android. What's this?
Yeah, so they've again, this is all about the smart TV features that are built into your TV. So not something that I get super excited about, but thought it was worth mentioning because I know Android TV is the big push for Google now in that space, and it used to be Google TV, and we've talked about that before, and now it's Android TV, and looks like Sony's kind of hitching their wagon to it and using kind of a version of Android TV as their smart TV platform.
Okay, I get it, but it's one of those things that we might be able to use. I don't know. We might be able to integrate with that a little bit because Android is so. I don't know. Maybe it's just something we're going to end up turning off as well.
Yeah,
it's kind of what I feel
most
like.
likely. I can tell you, I will be.
Yeah,
for now at least. I think they'll get there as the processors get better and all that. But for now, just not something I get too excited about. The Panasonic I thought was interesting. I didn't expect this. They're using an OS made by Firefox. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I was seeing that it was going to be Firefox on the Panasonic. I'm like, okay, there's going to be a web browser that takes up all of my TV's memory now. And then I was like, oh, it's Firefox OS. That makes sense. Okay, I got it. So it looks like all these TV manufacturers are basically taking whatever they have and throwing it against the wall to see what sticks, right? It just feels like that
pretty
right
much.
Now. Yeah.
Pretty much. So, yeah, but as far as TVs go, I mean, really, I think the big thing for me was like I said, the quantum dot technology and just kind of digging into that. And it seems like that's going to be a big push for people, and it's kind of... You're starting to see more people talk about it, but I think to date it's kind of flown under the radar a little bit. But yeah, we saw all the companies talking about their smart TV platforms, and for some people that's probably intriguing and worth noting, but not something that I, as an integrator, really spend a lot of time thinking about. Multi-room audio was another category. Again, I think Sonos is the king of the hill here, and I think anybody's going to have a hard time knocking them off. But it does look like LG has kind of a product that they're unveiling as an answer to Sonos. Philips had a multi-room audio product, and Google was talking about sort of their version of AirPlay, which is like, just basically a stripped down version of Google Cast. Like it's just not doing video, right? It's just doing audio. So not terribly new really, but it's kind of their effort in the audio space there.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that I just can't believe that there aren't more players in to compete with Sony. I mean, this LG one looks like directly related to Sony, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's got almost the same, feature set. It has a Wi-Fi setup. It's priced very similarly. They have a sound bar. I don't know. That sounds kind of interesting to me. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. So LG is kind of one of those bigger companies that I don't know. A
lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, theirs is the Music Flow system. I guess kind of works like a hybrid of a Sonos versus like a hybrid Sonos and traditional Bluetooth speakers. So it can kind of pair directly with your smartphone, where the smartphone would be kind of handling the streaming, or it looks like, you can use it in more of like a Sonos fashion where you're just basically controlling it over the Wi-Fi from your smartphone, and it's kind of handling the streaming.
Yeah, and all these, like we talked about a little bit last week, where we were saying, Sonos is king of the hill, and they just need to step up and own it. Like, all these things, these guys come out with feature sets like, being able to play music directly off your phone onto a Sonos system. Who would ever want that, So, wait, I want that, and Sonos doesn't have it still. You knew that was coming, right?
Yeah, I totally knew that was coming.
So, yeah, I hope these types of things make Sonos step up and actually update their system to maybe work with AirPlay or Google Play. I don't really care. I mean, work with something.
Yeah. Philips has one, kind of a standalone speaker. Looks like it's really just designed to connect straight to Spotify. I don't know if they have plans to expand that to other streaming services, but as it stands right now, you get like $130 speaker that basically allows you to do Spotify. So, that could be cool if Spotify is really all you're into. I know that I'm a Spotify user and certainly love it. So, that's could be kind of an interesting product. But again, I think Sonos is really, if you're looking to get into multi-room audio, in my opinion, it's kind of the go-to product. But yeah, if you've got particular needs, like you said, where you just want to be able to do it straight from your phone, like using AirPlay or Google Play or whatever it is, maybe there's better options out there for you.
Yeah, and Spotify is huge overseas. I mean, so don't discount that just because it's not like the number one service here in America. Like Spotify is huge overseas. So
right,
I think that's Philips is one of those companies too that makes kind of like little off-brand type. I don't want to say off-branded, but just kind of just random little things from time to time. That work kind of well. I still have a little Philips speaker thing on my desk that I use every day. I plug my laptop in it and just it's slightly better than the laptop speakers. So I just use that to play sounds, and it still works like 10 years after I bought it. So don't discount that just because it only works with Spotify, because it'll be huge overseas.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I mean, I'm a big Spotify user, and so that's you save some money by not investing in having a million different streaming services that you may or may not even use. If Spotify is what you want and that that's what you're into, could be a good fit for you. So we went a little bit long. I know we had a couple other little things we wanted to touch on. The worst of CES was one that I think we should kind of at least glaze over here. We did have a couple of products that to me, for various reasons, just look kind of silly. I think Sony's Walkman was one of them. I don't know if you saw this. It's like basically a $1,000 MP3 player, and the idea is, that it's hi-fi. That it does really high fidelity music. I just don't see it. I don't know anybody, or have a hard time even imagining anybody who's really going to be running out to buy this. Pono is another one, this $400 player that's all about the high-res audio.
Oh, that's the one that was started by some famous artist.
Neil Young. Yeah, and, that's got a whole ecosystem behind it, where there's the Pono, like, music store where you can go and buy digital high-res music from their market. So,
well, at least there's a decent story behind that one, right? And then
Yeah.
the Walkman, like, are you kidding me? $1,100? I don't think so.
Just kind of silly. I saw too many stories about selfie sticks.
So did I.
I just don't know. It's like there was one blog post I saw that was like, how many selfie stick stories at CES are too many? And I think the answer is one. I just, it's like one of these silly things that just, but again, it gets people talking.
Okay, hold on. You got to stop because we go to the parks a lot. So we have a number of parks. At Busch Gardens here, we have Universal, which has the Harry Potter World thing, and then we have the Disney World, okay? So my wife has never seen a selfie stick before.
Oh, my.
There are so many selfie sticks. People.
It's huge.
It's insane. So a selfie stick, let's just explain this for listeners who may not know what this is.
Yeah, you're right. We should.
It is a stick that you walk around and you attach either your phone or a GoPro camera into, and you hold
or a tablet. I've even seen them where you can attach a tablet.
And you walk around with this thing and you hold it up in the air in front of you and take pictures of yourself.
I don't get it. But, the selfie this was 2014 was certainly the year of the selfie. And, I guess you get that extra reach, right? So you get your better angles. But just too much talk about it this year. I guess it was, I guess they were just everywhere. And, I'm sure most people that are talking about it aren't, nobody's really taking this seriously, right? I mean, obviously we all know it's kind of meant to be funny.
Well, Julie Jacobson found, and she had this amazing guide that she published right before CES that you could flip through and basically would cover everything and anything related to home automation and home technology. And basically, I think it was where she was going to walk while she was at CES. But in the very back, It had a selfie hairbrush. So while you're brushing your hair, you can actually hold it up and take a picture. And they actually have a picture of some people doing it. It's quite funny.
Brilliant. Did you see the levitating speaker?
That I did.
Yes.
It's only slightly more interesting than the selfie sticks and selfie hairbrush.
Yeah, this is like a speaker that's a 2-part Bluetooth speaker system, and it's
a magnet. It's a magnet.
It's a magnet. And it's got like this little plastic grip that you set the top part down on so that it establishes, I guess, kind of the balance, and then you remove that and then it levitates. But it's like, I look at this thing and I think about all of the hours and development time and money and just human, resources that went into developing this thing. And I have to think that there's something better that we could be working on.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe like a kid-friendly giant tablet you can hang on your wall.
Yes. I saw this thing. It is I think they have a 65-inch tablet, and it goes for $4,000. And why on earth you would want a 65-inch tablet is completely beyond me. But they're basically marketing it as like a kid-friendly product. So one of the marketing images that I saw has like a child standing in front of this thing, and it looks like some sort of app where on the right-hand side there's a colored pencil or a crayon, and they're, kind of drawing on it, which I guess could be kind of cool, but, for like $4,000, I don't know.
You could probably send that kid to a reputable art school if you just stash the $4,000 for the 20 years that they're going to need it. So
yeah, exactly. So interesting product. This Polaroid Social-Matic camera. Did you see this thing? It's like
the it's a Instagram camera looking thing, right?
Yeah, it's like a square camera that you basically take pictures of, and as I understand it, it'll actually print Polaroids like they used to, I guess, or I don't know. Like I don't get it. And I know that generally what it's made to do is kind of send them straight to Instagram. But I don't understand like what else it does that would make you compelled to carry this thing around as opposed to just like using your smartphone. I don't get it.
Right. That's kind of strange. I guess it's like a 14 megapixel camera, but I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of odd. Now that you say that, it's like, well, I'll just go ahead and take it with my smartphone because of all the like crazy software things that happen inside the phone to make the picture come out perfect, even though the lens isn't all that great. But like,
it says Polaroid Socialmatic combines the nostalgic appeal of vintage Polaroid instant print cameras with the ability to share using the camera's built-in Wi-Fi and Android interface. So
okay,
yeah, that's my thoughts exactly. And so those were kind of my worst of CES takeaways there.
Those are pretty good.
There was a lot to choose from.
Oh man. Well, that's CES for you. It's like we said at the beginning, it's a place that really people come in and they show off stuff that they hope, companies come in and purchase for, they put orders in by the thousands. And that's really what these guys are trying to do when they're at CES. And that's why we see all these just ideas. It's just ideas. And if you can make something and bring it to the table and it's popular, we've talked to Dip Patel with EcoVent. I mean, they were all over CES this year. And they won an award for, most innovative home automation product or something like that. I don't know. I'll look what it is. But it's like companies like that, like, hey, that's great. If he gets some traction for him and, gets a few 100,000 orders for his product, I mean, that's going to be awesome. So that's why guys like Dip go to CES, is to get the word out for their product and get in front of a bunch more eyeballs than they normally would.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of those shows that I think people in our industry kind of love it or hate it, or maybe love to hate it, right? It's like, and I think a lot of that has to do with just the noise surrounding it. It's such a large volume of information and products coming at you, and everybody's got their marketing speak going, full bore. And so it can be a little bit difficult to kind of wade through it and pick out the stuff that really matters. And hopefully with this episode, we kind of help people do that. I enjoyed talking about it. And I thought it was basically what I expected CES to be this year. I mean, I didn't expect anything earth-shattering, but I thought that there was kind of enough going on there where you're seeing some trends continue to take shape that are going to evolve and kind of really define, I think, 2015 in terms of home technology.
Yeah, it's definitely fun covering all this stuff, like you found a lot more than I did, because I was looking at this kind of going, yeah, there's not much going on this year, but you really dug into this thing.
Yeah, you kind of had to wade through a layer of that top sort of the noisemakers, right, and kind of get down to what really matters there. But anyways, kind of a long episode. If you're still listening, we want to thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate you listening. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, stop by HomeTech.fm, leave us a comment. We've got a feedback form there. We would definitely love to hear from you. Also, obviously, catch us on Twitter. We're at HomeTech Podcast. Give us a tweet over there. We love to hear from you. We certainly usually respond to all of our tweets. We read all of our emails. So if you've got any ideas or suggestions for the show or just general feedback, we would love to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with that, I guess we'll wrap things up. Jason, it was fun, man. CES 2015.
Yeah, indeed. I enjoyed it. Yep, there's our take, and I enjoyed it as well, and I will talk to you next week.
See you later.
All right, take care.